How's everyone? Wayne known here, and welcome back to another episode of Geeking Out, where we basically discuss everything nerd and geek related. We're back doing a segment I've not done since if you count, no, not kind of recap ones, since 2022, 2021, called Business Discussion, where I'm joined by nerd and geek related businesses, and we talk about the stuff they've done, what their shops are like, the stuff they sell, how long they've been going on for, and what other stuff they've done outside their business. With that being said, I'm joined here by Arc of Kyber Cave, which is in the business of selling combat sabers from the Star Wars series. And if you've seen them at conventions, you'll recognize their booth with all their different lightsabers that are from like the movies, TV shows, video games, stuff like that. With that being said, Van, welcome to the channel for the first time.
Hello there. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much, Wayne. It is good to see you again. I haven't seen you since last summer.
It was Sac. No, not Sac. It was animated for
Anna
2020.
Medford.
Animated for 2024.
Right. It is good to see you, my friend. I think I am booked out for the other shows. I will be back again.
Oh, it'll be good to see you again this year, then for sure. I know we've tried, like, for those who are watching, I've been trying to get him on this channel. I've been trying to interview him at the conventions, just with all the stuff that goes on. It's not always easy with my schedule and everything. But yeah, welcome. First question I always ask. Um, well, I got technically have to ask this. What made you come up with the name Kyber Cave?
Oh well, for the Star Wars nerds out there, you may know that the Kyber crystal is what powers a lightsaber. So the Kyber cave just seemed like a cool, cool place to be. And I want to say we opened on 6/27/18, which was right at the same time, and I believe even technically before Galaxy's Edge. And our first storefront, um, when you walked in the room, our storefront was super tiny. It was about the size of a bedroom. But when you walked in, it had a little entrance, and we made like paper mache, and like we had like stuff coming down to make it look like you were entering a cave. So that was the whole idea. I wanted little kids, to feel like they were entering into the Star Wars universe, and that
Ooh.
maybe this was a little store that was built inside a cave.
Oh, that is so awesome. Like, kind of actually now thinking about it, I think in the video game, Star Wars: The Knights of the Old Republic, on one of the planets when you're getting your lightsaber, there is actually a Kyber cave that you get to go to and get a Kyber crystal.
Right, and a lot of people, especially if you're a fan of the Clone Wars, a lot of people remember the episodes where Ahsoka takes the younglings for their adventure to get their Kyber crystals, because the crystal must call you. You don't choose the crystal chooses you. But they had to go to Ilum, and it's a ritual that the Jedi would do. So they would go to the Kyber caves to find their Kyber. So that was the whole thing. I feel like when you're choosing a saber, when I first started, everybody, there was so many saber companies online, and in fact, that was the way you bought sabers back then, was
Hmm.
online. The problem I had was that the first saber I bought, it was a beautiful saber, but it was really big and clunky. It was not, although it looked nice, it wasn't great for what I wanted to fight. I wanted to duel with this thing, and it really wasn't great for what I intended it to do. And so that was the reason why I wanted to start Kyber Cave, is I wanted people to be able to put their hands on the saber, touch it, feel how heavy it is, see if it's the right length for them. Because what feels good to you may not work for me. And so for the first couple of years, up until the pandemic, 2 years later, I didn't even have a website, because I wanted to buck the trend. The trend was to have the website companies, because I know it's a lot cheaper and a lot easier. But to me, like, I wanted people to have that experience on it, and you have to touch them. I can't do it through a website.
Yeah, I think the only place that does it, like you said, was Galaxy's Edge at Disney, where you can build, but that in itself can be pretty pricey just going there alone.
Right. And what we sell, I want to be clear, because a lot of times people might equate us to what they sell at Disneyland. I do not sell lightsabers. I sell combat sabers. And the difference is,
Ooh.
Although this may look like, and this one actually is modeled after a character named Darth Revan. Darth
Oh,
Revan's
from Knights of the Old Republic. Yep.
correct. This would be now the coloring is different, but this is the body shape is his Sith saber. But this is actually my personal favorite for using for fighting. So the difference between what they sell at amusement parks and what I sell is what I sell is more akin to sports equipment that happens to look like your favorite character's saber. But it is meant to be fought with. What you buy at the amusement parks are what we call wall queens. You can
Mm-hmm.
kind of tap them and touch them, but if you were to hit them the way we want to naturally hit them, then
Uh-huh.
you're going to be very sad and out about 260 bucks.
If not more, depending on
Right, and I didn't charge you a ticket price to get in.
No, from someone who's actually seen your sabers in person at conventions, I can say for anyone watching, they do have some weight. They do feel like an actual lightsaber, and
Yeah, these
they are meant because I remember hearing you at con. You just hearing the whacking against the table or on the floor or against a wall.
this one right here, this is a Lego saber for anyone
Oh,
that's ever paid the Lego
that's a
video
Lego
games.
saber from Lego Star Wars. Oh my god, that is awesome.
We got a saber for everybody. If you need a Lego saber, I got your back right here.
I
But we
mean,
sell different. We sell this is okay. So we sell what's called a baselit or an RGB saber, and then we sell what's called a NeoPixel saber. So the RGB, think of it kind of like a flashlight. You've got your lights inside here with the hollow blade, right? This is why I can beat up a mountain with this blade and I'm not worried about it. In fact, you can probably see this black ring right
oh
here.
yeah, yeah,
Right
you
here.
can see, yeah, right there, yeah.
That's because I've had this blade for 3 years inside different models. Of like I just switched the same blade. But if you were to run your hands up and down, you would feel the little nicks and dings and the abuse that this blade has taken. But after 3 years, it's still
It's
perfectly
still pretty durable, yeah.
it's extremely durable, extremely durable. So these are the ones when you want to just get out in the backyard and beat up your little brother. These are the ones that you want to take out there. This one is more when you want to, when you go to Disney Galaxy's Edge and you want to flex on all the people with their Disney sabers. You want to show them something. You want to show them what a real saber looks like. This is the one that you do. And the
I
difference is this is this is what we call NeoPixel. So watch the blade here.
okay.
It's a little hard to see, obviously, with the bright
Oh
lights,
no,
but
but no, I can anyone watching this, you can see that perfect. That is, I'm gonna use my one f bomb. Right? Well, that is fucking awesome. That is honestly, that is honest. I'm not just saying that. I mean, I've seen on TikToks where people will show their different sabers. Like, oh, this is like a $50, $100, two, three, whatever one, and depending on which one will have like a different startup system. But that is honestly cool, though.
and there's so many like at Christmas time when we were in the shop, my blade looked like a candy cane. So I was out there with the candy cane saber, and there's so many configurations you really can't get over, and they're reprogrammable too. So our sabers come with 29 sound fonts built in, 29 different characters, right? Luke, Vader, you can make sound like the dark saber, but you can add a total of 99 onto your sabers. So there's other websites like, say, for instance, saberfont.com, right?
Hmm.
I have on one of my sabers, I have Ghostbusters. So when I hit the button, it looks like a plasma beam shooting out of the blade. I have Nightmare Before Elm Street. I had it sounds like Freddy's claws when you say my I told you my business partner when we found started Jason. He
Hmm.
had Sam Jackson on his saber. Every time you swing it, it dropped f bombs on you. So I mean, there's a sound font if you're into Pirates of the Caribbean, if you're into Predator, if you're into what Transformers, whatever nostalgia or geekdom you're into. I'm sure there's been somebody that sat down and figured out a way to make this thing correspond with it.
Oh yeah. Um. So my next question, back to your business. So you started off like you said, like what was like the size of a bedroom. How what was the transition like going from like such a small space to like a full on business for this?
Well, at first it was a bit of a roller coaster ride. I when I started this, it started off as my son and I went to an event with his brother in Sacramento called the world's largest lightsaber battle. And there was probably 500 nerds in the park with these saber battles that were fighting, and I had never seen so many people in one place with these sabers. To go back a little bit, about 6 months before that, we used to visit with my son's brother. He lived in another town, and he grew up with his father. So like during the summertime, we would go to the drive-in movies together, and it would always be like two movies, but between the movies there was like a 30-minute break. So one of these times he brought out one of these combat sabers, and it was my first time ever seeing it. And we had so much fun going to town on each other with these things between the movie breaks. Then we went up to that event in Sacramento, and my son asked, he's like, "Dad, can we do this back home?" And I was like, "It's just playing in the park, really." So we made like 12 of the ugliest little flyers, and we just passed them to random people we'd see in Burger King or whatever. And we made an event in a park for like 2 weeks, and in that first event, like 30 people showed up. So we brought my Jason, my partner. He had like 10 of these lightsabers. And so we let people practice and borrow. We taught them little lightsaber techniques that we had seen on YouTube or whatever. And we had our first lightsaber battle. I remember this one guy, he had this dope ass stereo system, and he was just bombing Duel of the Fates from the parking lot as all these little kids are beating each other up with these sabers. So from there, I was like, there's something to this. This is like, and a month and a half later, I had a tiny little shop. I had 21. I started off with 21 combat sabers and about 100 cheapy plastic toy sabers, and we evolved from there.
Nice.
So I'm
So,
sorry.
oh,
I guess what does it feel like? I don't really know because it's always been ever evolving and ever changing. I'm not really sure. I didn't get into this. I didn't start a saber company to do a YouTube channel, but here I am. and I didn't do it to do interviews, but I'm with you. So to
no,
ask
I
what
mean,
it was like from
yeah.
then to now, I still see it as an ever evolving, changing entity.
It's definitely. It sounds like it's had an impact on you since you started this back in what you said, 2018.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's just such like it doesn't. I know 2018 doesn't feel like a long time, but you think about it, that's almost like in 3 more years, that'll be 10 years since you started this thing.
Right, right, yeah. And like I said, to start from a little, when we were doing it out of this little room, I'm just thinking about Solano County in my little area. That I had no intention of mailing packages to Australia or interviewing people in Greenland or any of the other stuff that we do. Going to conventions, I have some of the. I look now and some of the actors and stars that I can get a hold of that I have their phone number in my phone. I'm like, how did I get here?
Speaking of, so fast forward, you got the business, you got like this and that. You start going to conventions to show off these, not just at the shop anymore, but like now you're at conventions showing off all these different sabers, like the Lego one, the ones that are based off characters, custom ones, ones with custom hilts, different lights. Like, what was that like going to your first convention as a vendor, selling and showing off these sabers?
Oh, I absolutely love it, dude. It's honestly, I have the best job in the world. It's nobody leaves my table unhappy. You know what I mean? If somebody's unhappy, it's maybe because sometimes I get that little 5-year-old that really wanted one, and mom and dad said no. Okay, yeah, you get that. But for the most part, even when people don't buy something, because I always let people try them out and I let them have fun at our table, and I'll answer questions and I'll geek out about different episodes with anybody out there. So I got I got a really good compliment. Actually, we've gotten it a few times, but um, I've heard people say that they like our booth because it's entertaining. And to be
Uh,
called entertaining as a vendor is kind of a compliment for me. You know what I mean? Like I appreciate that people enjoyed themselves while they were at my table for whatever reason, even if we're just nerding about Anakin or Ahsoka or any of the characters.
Or who has a high ground.
All right, Anakin. You
I
were my
mean,
brother, Anakin.
I mean, from what I've seen, because I've seen your guys' booth in person twice, at Metal Art Comic Con in 2023, and no, 2024, both Metal Art and Medford at your booth. And not like you said, not only you're just a vendor, but you're also an interactive vendor as well. Not only you're talking to people, but you're like, even if a person can't afford it, you can still like, hey, do you want to at least, try it out, hit it against something, see it light up, and all this
I
stuff,
love
feel like what it's like to be a Jedi or a Sith for like a couple minutes.
Right. I love nothing better than to have a couple of kids, and especially like when a mom and a dad comes up to the table and the little kids, I can see them reaching out, and the mom's like, "Don't touch that, don't." And I was like, "No, man, this is the one booth where you can touch everything. Please do."
I mean, those
you
those
know,
those hilts are durable too.
Oh yeah, the hilt themselves. This is made out of T6 aircraft grade aluminum, so it's the same thing that they make the space shuttle out of, and it's meant to be very lightweight and yet still very very durable. Some people say they're heavy, but for a metal, they're very lightweight. Even on the Legos and the thicker ones, this has just got a lot more material to it, so it's a
Oh yeah,
heavier.
because it's meant to look like the sabers from the Lego Star Wars video games and the Lego Star Wars figures themselves.
Exactly, exactly. The blades are made out of high polycarbonate, the same thing they made police riot shields. And that's the
Ooh.
reason why you can beat on that for 3 years, and I'm not worried about breaking it. Even with the NeoPixel, so the difference between the NeoPixel and the RGB has the hollow blade, but the NeoPixel has the LED lights running inside the blade. That's why they're able to strobe up and down and do
Oh, that's
different
why it looks
tricks and
like.
stuff like that.
Yeah, because like
Right,
you said, the
right.
RB.
So now, but the outside of the blade is still made with the same material.
Power on.
Um, so
Infinite blade.
it's still just as hard.
Photon ignition.
Let's see. Let's get a different start up here. See, oh, this is cycling through different colors now.
No power.
Ooh.
Please charge.
All right. Oh, sounds like my battery's dying on that one. We
Oh,
just had an event this weekend, so I had those running
nice.
all weekend.
So a question I actually kind of want to ask now, because it sounds like, do you ever worry about like, because it has the sound boxes and the sound device in them. Do you ever worry about like when you're hitting it real hard, like the thing may come loose or like malfunction or something?
Do I worry about it? No. I mean, in fact, we offer a 1 year warranty on our sabers for the electronics. So if anything goes wrong, if your sound stops working or one of your colors stops working, we replace it for the first year. Because that is the point of these sabers. They are meant to be fought with. It's very interesting, and even in the 6 years that I've been around this business, the first sabers, a little bit of saber history here. The first sabers to hit the market were by a company called Master Replica back in roughly 2003. I think were the first ones,
Oh, I've
and
heard of them.
right, you'll most recognize them by they're the ones they have a permanently attached blade. You
Mm-hmm.
can't take the blade off, and it lights up kind of chunky. It kind of goes in like it does kind of scroll up, but it's kind of a blocky scroll up. And they're really notorious because a lot of times, because those were the first ones, and you couldn't remove the blade, people would hit them. So you would have like green and then black, and then green and then another chunk of black, because that's where people blew out the light bulbs
Mm-hmm.
because those were a lot more delicate. Like I said, this blade is made out of the same material. They also it's the same thing they make when you go to the bank, the bulletproof windows. This is the
Oh yeah.
same material that they make that out of. So it is very durable. When NeoPixel first came out, when I first got into sabers, NeoPixel was the brand new thing to have the lights light up here. But at that time, people were like, "Are you crazy? You can't fight with the NeoPixel." Now these things are getting, within 6 years, the durability has gotten a lot better. They're using different types of lights now, and then they put a foam around it. So, can you
Mm.
break it? Yes, you can break it, but it's a lot stronger than people would expect.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like it would take like a bit, like a very strong force to like cause a dent or like a break or something.
Right, like I tell people, like you'd be surprised you can break bones with these. These are high. I mean, they are
Mm.
very heavy, and when you're swinging, very strong. But let's think about it this way: who are you swinging on so hard that you are? You know, that's got to be someone you don't like. If a burglar breaks into your house, then
I
you're
mean,
swinging that hard. You know,
oh
but if it's your
yeah.
buddy, you're probably not using 100% of your power to swing at your buddy. You know what I mean?
And
So, you know, we definitely advise like if you were to do it, there are fighting leagues. Even up in Portland, you have the Saber Legion is
oh
all
yeah,
around you. Mhm. And then there's also another one that's widely known called Lightspeed. So they're different different types of leagues. They do different kind of fighting. But in Saber Legion, they require you to wear full armor head to toe. You have to wear a fencing mask, gorget, chest armor. They use like baseball armor, hockey gloves because you need the thickness because people will easily break fingers in this sport.
kind of like what they full wear in like when they're doing kendo with the wooden swords.
Exactly, because in the Saber Legion, you're allowed to use full power swings. So you can swing at your opponent as hard as you want. So when you're swinging that hard, you better have protection that's going to cover you when somebody's swinging at you that hard, or
I'm
you're going to
sure
walk
it'll
out of
be
there
like
with
that.
broken ribs for
I was
sure.
gonna say you're gonna have like some nice welts and bruises on you if like you're not. And
Now
I'm
the
sure you.
difference the
Go ahead.
difference
Sorry.
between the Saber Legion and Lightspeed, Saber Legion uses standard 1 inch blades. Lightspeed uses a smaller one that's a thinner blade, but it's a lot whippier. So with Lightspeed, you're less likely to have any actual breaks, like an actual broken finger, but you're a lot more likely to have big welts and bruises all over your body because your blade is kind of more of a whippy type of a blade as opposed to the strong and sturdy blade.
And I'm sure when you're like selling these at the store or at conventions, I'm sure you always make sure tell people to be safe and everything. You know, don't poke your eye out or anything.
Right, right, right. And you know, a lot of times people will come back, oh, I got, I want to get this for my son. First thing we always ask is how old the person is that they're getting it for. And now, of course, anyone that out there that has children, every parent knows you know your child better than I know your child. Some children at 5 year old, you can tell them, hey, we don't swing this in the house. We only play with this outside, blah, blah, blah. And they will listen to you and do what you say. Some kids will just get that in their hand and just start swinging at
Oh
everything
yeah, next thing you
all
know,
around them.
grandma's vase is like on the floor
Grandma's
and like
urn sitting on
it's like broken into a thousand little pieces or you know no I'm glad you guys do the whole safety thing because not unlike like the websites like you see on Amazon where they sell the other ones. I can't remember the names of what they're called, but
Right.
like they don't have that and everything. And like the fact you guys test yours because like on certain websites they'll show just pictures of like, oh yeah, it's durable. You get it. And next thing you know, you whack it against really hard against a table or a tree, and next thing you know, it's like bent in half. And
Right. Oh, you know us, dude. You can hear us clear across the convention hall because we're
I know, no,
slamming
literally.
those things.
I
And
mean,
we and I mean, I even tell people like it's funny, like you give to people sabers and you're like, okay, go ahead. I want you to hit this as hard as you can, right? I swear to God, this happens every time, Wayne. I can track it with even people I don't meet. I want you to hit this as hard as you can. Invariably, they're gonna kind of lightly tap it, and I was like, dude, like, don't make me
I
make
mean,
fun of you. I don't even know
I'll
you.
admit that that was me when I was at Anna Medford. That was me. Like, are you sure?
Right. But because nobody's used to that. They're used to the things like you get at amusement parks or that you buy at Target or Walmart, where all of us grew up with the sabers, where you buy a saber and then 3 months later you gotta buy another one. And then three
Oh
months
yeah.
later you gotta buy another one because we beat the hell out of it. So these are what we wanted when we were growing up. These, like, our motto is you're gonna break your friend before you break that saber.
That's a good motto. Now, actually, speaking of Oh yeah. So when it comes to the sabers, when someone wants to purchase it, what's that like? What's the purchasing process like? And what's it like when someone wants a custom one? Like say, oh, for example, I want one that looks like Kylo Ren's, or I want one that looks like uh, Darth Malik's and
Right,
everything.
right. Well, that's the first thing that we do, that I think kind of separates us and is the reason why this last year was the first year in the 5 years that I've been doing conventions. This last year was the first year I've ever run up against competition. Up for the first 4 years, it's only been Kyber Cave at any event that I did. I've never had any other saber vendors. And even what I found was even in the like I had 3 shows this year where we had competition and it was the same competition, but we still did well compared to our competitors. And I think it's because not only do we try to make it entertaining, but we want you to know that we actually care about your individual experience. I'm not just going to sell you a saber because it's the $500 saber and I want to make an extra $100. The first thing we're going to do is find out what are you using this for. And I know that sounds stupid, right? But let me explain to you. There is, and on our show, if you ever get a chance to watch our show, we do a live show every Sunday night on our YouTube channel. But we do a segment, and I have been told by flow artists, I'm very proud of this, that we are the only place on the internet that has a weekly showcase for flow artists.
Oh, is it the
Um,
one like they use like the string or something?
that
Or
is included in flow. Flow is anytime I take the saber, and it's actually not even sabers because we have people that do fire, we have people that do clubs, we have people that do balls and orbs. But it's really about the beauty and the aesthetics. It's not about fighting. So with our flow saber artists, they're like throwing the saber in the air and rolling it around their body and catching it, and flipping it behind their back and catching it. It's less about the fighting experience and more about the artistry of using a lighted object. So, like I said, we have people that do fire. In fact, if you go to YouTube and type in Kyber Cave, Mary Gibbs is Boo from Monsters Inc. But when we interviewed her, I found out that she is also a fire dart artist. And I was like, "Oh my
mm-hmm.
God, we gotta have that on our show." So she sent us a segment showing her on the beach with like these flaming fire darts, and she's like spinning them all around and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. This is Boo.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I've seen people even do poi, regular poi,
Right,
and where the poi is on fire. And I've seen people use lightsabers now, where they like touch the strings, and it looks like they're using the force in a
right.
sense
We
to
call that
control the lightsaber.
Levisaber.
I love that. It's a really cool technique. Like even like when you look at it at a different perspective of using the lightsaber for fighting, it's also an art form. Each saber user, whether they're Sith or Jedi or just a saber user in general, they'll have like their own different fighting technique. Like for example, Finn in the recent Star Wars films, he doesn't know how to use a lightsaber, so of course he's going to be aggressive, like, and then you got Rey, which I will say I do like Rey. I don't care what people say. Her style is more unique and different. It's not anger; it's more of a fluid. Or Ahsoka, for example, hers is more fluid and stuff like that.
She is dem so. Yeah. So if you're a saber geek, you may know that there are 7 forms of lightsaber combat. And within those 7 forms, some of them have alternate. So like Demso is technically Anakin. Demso. Oh man, I'm off guard right now. The one that Ahsoka uses is very similar, but it's form 5. So in fact, one of the things that we're doing, and I have that saber in the other room. So we have a Kyber Cave exclusive saber you can only get at Kyber Cave. I designed it, but it's in a series that I'm making where I'm making a saber for each of the forms. So the first one I released was the Shicho. Shicho is form 1. That is Kit Fisto is the master of Shicho. And Chicho is known for using 45-degree angles and wide sweeps. It's meant to fight multiple opponents at the same time. And it's the first form of saber combat that every Jedi Padawan learns. After Chicho, then they start to specialize into different forms. They learn a little bit about each of the forms, and then they can start specializing in what form suits them. So I have a saber on our site called the Shicho, and then we have a NeoPixel version that has battle damage on it. And then when you look through the battle damage, you can see the Kyber crystal. So whatever
Ooh.
color your blade is, your crystal will change
I
inside the
will.
battle damage.
You said that's on your website, right?
Yes, and yes, it's the Shicho. Let me double check.
Yeah, cause like,
We
cause
have
well,
been making adjustments, so not everything is always there.
so
Sorry,
like,
go ahead.
with your permission, if I can take a screenshot of that and show people that on here.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah, because
yeah.
with your website, whatever saber we talk about, I'll just like, oh, okay, I'll go on the website and take a screenshot and show people that.
Yes. Oh, and the Shicho is on there. So, um, I have two versions. The Shicho that I see in there, we have it in 5 different colors. But then we also have the NeoPixel version. Anyway, so that's exclusive to Kyber Cave. We're going to be doing a saber for each of the styles and the forms, right? One of the
Nice.
forms is Niman, which focuses less on its form 6, which focuses less on mastering individual styles, and it's more about learning a little bit of each of the mini styles and using heavy emphasis on force use. So theirs is a lot of emphasis on grabbing things or force pushes, things like that. So one of the things with Niman is flying lightsabers, throwing your lightsaber and then being able to retrieve it back to you.
Like a
Which
boomerang,
when
yeah.
Right. So when you were talking about seeing people who do Levisaber, which is super cool, it always blows my mind when I see people do it. It's kind of like a yo-yo, is really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But your lightsaber is the yo-yo essentially. But when these people do it and they do it just right, it looks like they're making a lightsaber float through the air. So we will be releasing a Levisaber in our lineup as well because
Ooh.
that's one of the style. That's style 6. Form
Yeah,
six.
it reminds me so much of poi in a sense because you're doing different techniques and everything. And I know something like that, you just can't learn that on the dime. Like I people who do that because I've seen videos on TikTok where they're doing the saber, and I could tell that does not look easy. And I imagine you're hitting yourself so many times when you're learning that.
Right, right, and you're getting popped with the metal hilt, so it's not like
Oh,
you're catching your licks when you're learning.
oh yeah. Now on to another question. Since this is a business you're running, um, before we go into about the YouTube channel itself, what are the prices like? What are they range from? Because I know different websites charge that did this, and then like when you go into Disney, when you go into the Star Wars place and Disney World, it's like it ranges can anywhere from like 50 to like almost a grand, pending
Right.
on
And that $50 saber you're buying is not like a nice metal, saber. That's a plastic saber you're buying for $50. Yeah, we have. That's one of the things that I like to brag on with us is not only do we have some of the best prices online for NeoPixels, the high end cool lightsabers with the lights in the blade. I always tell people, please compare our prices to other places because then you will see how good my prices are on the higher end ones. The RGBs on those, a lot, some of them were $10 more, some of them were $10 less, but we tend to be right there competitive with a lot of our other, competitors. But we have excellent customer service and we are going to be knowledgeable and help you find the saber that is best matched for you. So if you come in and you tell me, hey, I'm doing Obi-Wan cosplay, the first thing I'm going to say is, are you going to be old man Obi-Wan or are you going to be Padawan Obi-Wan? We got to get the right saber for you because Obi-Wan has multiple sabers. It
Mhm.
depends on where you are in the timeline. Or if you tell me you want to do flow, I'm not going to give you like a Vader saber that has a lot of boxes and nowhere to grab the saber. I would give you something more like this that doesn't have a lot of nooks and stuff. It's a lot of places for you to grab onto. So if you're trying to do twists and spins, something like this is a lot more convenient than a lot of the movie accurate sabers. Because though they look cool, they're not actually. If you were using them in the real world, some of that stuff would kind of get in the way.
Right. For those who have never seen, are you able to show? Because you already showed the NeoPixel one and how that
Oh
went.
yeah, yeah.
Can you show people the RGB one real quick?
Yeah.
For
So
those
this
who may
is
not know.
RGB, and this is motion control.
Oh.
So and that's got pulse. I hate that, drives me nuts. So I'm going to turn that off. You can also change the colors very easily. Unlike Disney, you don't have to buy the colors separately.
Oh, I
The
love that
colors
when you just press and you just thrust it, and then like they do in the movies and everything.
exactly. And
Oh.
on these have like I said, on the ones that we have that we're bringing out, they have 25 different characters built in. So if I turn it on, it'll sound like Vader. Ahsoka. If I turn it on now, it'll sound like Ahsoka sabers. Anakin. Oh, this is my favorite.
No, Darth Maul, and that is Sam Witwer's Darth Maul.
Right. Count Dooku. Sith Red.
Cal Kestis. Yoda.
Man, so this is Kylo Ren. So now it sounds like Kylo Ren saber.
How it's so cool how unstable his lightsaber is in the movies.
Exactly, it's the fun part of his saber.
And I can imagine what his Kyber I can imagine what it was like with his Kyber crystal.
He's got the cracked crystal.
Oh, the cracked, and then like in oh god, this Jedi Knight Fallen Order, the sequel, how that one Sith who's like that Cal freed from the Bacta tank, how it made his Kyber crystal bleed. That was pretty cool.
I haven't played that game. Although we did have that's the second video game, right? Fallen Order. Survivor was the first one, right?
Yeah, Jedi Survivor. No. Either way, the sequel to that one. Yeah, no. But yeah,
I was gonna say we've had when we're talking about the sequel, whichever one's a sequel, we've had Verona Blue on our show. In fact, she's one of the actresses I brought up to Saber Battle in the Park last year. But she plays Vondra or something like that in the video game. She's the female bounty hunter in the second Star Wars game.
The same race as Kit Fisto. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Right, yeah, she's totally cool. She's been on our show. Her name is Verona Blue. If you look up Kyber Cave and Verona Blue,
I will definitely have to look her up and potentially have her on here as well. But back to the prices. What are you said like the different price ranges, and have people like ever like say, oh, that's too cheap, that's too expensive, or not not too cheap, but like I imagine when people look at your prices, you've had probably some unruly people that said, oh, this is too expensive. This is that I can get this at a better price elsewhere. It's like you can, but will the quality be the same thing?
Right. Well, I get people in both camps, and it's always exactly opposite. I either get people that are like, oh my god, these are way too expensive, or I get people that are like, oh my god, like how are they this cheap? Because it's depending on how much knowledge you come from. So if you're comparing these lightsabers to a $50 plastic Target toy, then yes, they're too right, exactly, the ones that claps in and out.
Yeah,
then yes, it is more expensive. But if you're comparing this to a Disney saber or a quality saber online, good lord, you can go to Vader's vault and easily spend $1,200 on a saber, and they're worth it.
Oh yeah, no, like I know, but like those are the types of ones you see what people such as myself would mount on a wall.
Right. They have all kinds of cool electronics and bling bling. Believe me, I've spent money on lightsabers. I have a rare one of my sabers, and it doesn't even ever leave the house, which is funny. It's what we call a unicorn. A unicorn in the saber industry means a very rare or unique lightsaber. And I have a saber called the Pod. I should go grab it. And anyways, there was only 25 of them ever made. And I have one of the 25, and of the 25, only two of them are NeoPixel, and I have one of them that's NeoPixel. So,
Well, I imagine
but
I imagine
it's
that
a
cost quite a
medieval
few.
sword, basically.
I imagine that cost you quite a few credits.
Oh yeah, well it was kind of funny. I got it from a guy because there was only 20, and there was a little bit of back lore on it. There's the guy pre-ordered. He took money for 150, but only ever released 25 of them, and then left town. So this is kind of a infamous saber. So to have one of the 25, but I found a guy in Canada who bought the saber, but it because the neck is so thin, you can't hardly get anybody who will do a work on it because it's nigh impossible. But I happen to know, because of the interviews that I do, I happen to know one of the top sabersmiths in the country. So I shipped this thing off to Missouri. And I told the this is the kind of guy that, like, if you want work done on your saber, you may have to wait 1 to 2 years because his wait list is
Oh yeah,
so
imagine
long.
like he has a lot of commissions, not to mention, kind of a little off topic here. Speak of like the hilts, I've seen ones that look like hilts to a samurai sword and everything.
Right. You can get these. I mean, the most expensive saber I have ever seen is $13,000. And that was, I mean, obviously it's a custom made piece, but somebody commissioned to have this made, and people will spend money on these things.
13 grand, like you got to have that like in case like encased in like a glass case or something. Like holy crap! Like I
You
can't
can look it
imagine.
up. It's called the Mamba, the Black Mamba. But this saber is, I mean, it's obvious it's a notorious saber. There's only, people have made replicas of it since then, but the original Black Mamba is like a thirteen
Jeez, I
thousand
mean,
dollars saber.
it,
It's
it,
funny. I
it
see people online do unboxing videos where they're like, "Oh, I just bought this new saber from such and such," and they're showing off the features, and you look on their wall, and they've got like 20 lightsabers on the wall, and you're like, "Oh my god, dude, that's like a car." You got a car on your wall right behind you, bro.
pretty much. I mean, so on your website, what is probably your least expensive saber, and what is your most expensive saber you have on the website?
So, and this is why everybody loves Kyber Cave. Our least expensive saber is $60. You can literally get 5 of our beginner sabers for the price of one Disney saber, and we don't charge you $100 to get in the door.
If not more. And
Right. So yeah, so our beginner sabers now, it's gonna come with the 1 year warranty, the 12 colors. You're only gonna get four characters instead of 29 characters. You get 12 colors, the volume control. So you don't get all of the bells and whistles. You get a lot of bells. But for $60, it gets you in the door. And most of them have a free coupler that allows you to double side it.
yeah, I was actually about to ask that. I've seen the ones where you can like look like
Darth
uh
Maul.
Darth Maul. Yeah.
Yes. Then, yeah, not only do we have the Darth Mauls, but most of our, and we sell the couplers, but a lot of our less expensive sabers already come with the free coupler. So if you buy two sabers, you can double side it, or if you have a buddy come over, you can break them apart, and you each have a saber.
Nice.
And we just started doing a thing too. I want to let people know, if you are an organization, especially if you have 10 or more members in your organization, and you're looking for a fundraiser, contact us. We can offer a very unique fundraiser if you need to raise money for your sports team or for your school. Why not sell lightsabers? You sell lightsabers, and we'll give you a percentage of what you guys sell. So, and it doesn't, like in the old days when I was growing up, you had to sell candy, or you had to sell, like, you had these books where they
Yeah.
had the peanut brittle or the gift wrap, right? As an
I remember.
organization back then, they had to provide the material up front. So they had to put out all this money up front, right? Nowadays, I have a website. So even if your organization's in Oregon, if I'm doing something with a soccer team in Oregon, and they do, Jaden from Medford, you know what I mean? And Jaden
Hmm.
gets the credit, and then maybe Jaden wins the most on his team, so he wins a special lightsaber, or he wins a jersey or something
Ooh,
from his team. These are ways that we can help your team make money, and it's a unique sales opportunity for your organization. So,
that's a smart business practice right there too.
well, especially now, everything's so expensive, and every organization's
Everyone's
looking for a
finishing.
way. The idea came with my son's wrestling team. We did. I went out to actually a couple of his meets and sold sabers and donated sabers that way. The other thing I can do, if your organization's big enough, or if you want to pre-order and set your own price, if I get a pre-order of 200 sabers, we can custom design a saber for you. So imagine I made a saber that has Anna Medford's logo on it, but it's cut into the window, and in Arabic it says Anna Medford Con or
Oh
something on
man,
it.
people like David Marino would love that.
I could do that with your soccer team. I could do that with your convention. I could do that with your show. You could get Wayne the Unknown custom sabers and double buy them for me for
Oh,
$50 and sell them for 100.
that's and speaking of giving lightsabers, because I know sometimes on your show, like your live shows, you'll do lightsaber giveaways. How does that work?
Oof, I've spent too much money on saber giveaways. In fact, this next one, to let all your viewers know, because this is going to be on Friday, we
Correct. Yep.
do a show every Sunday night. And we give away a free saber every 100 subscribers. So currently, we're at 2431. So I need 69 more people. So we do it every 100. So the other thing too is if you don't get it this 100, you can get it the next 100 or
Oh,
the
so
next
it's every
100.
I like that every I like when YouTubers do that. Like, we're at 500 subs, we're gonna do like a giveaway, or we're at this meeting, we're like 1K, we're gonna do. I like the fact that you guys like every 100 subs, you do like a
Exactly.
giveaway. So how does the giveaway work
And yeah,
exactly?
and that's the other thing. You don't have to be like number 100. That means when we hit that number, then that triggers the giveaway. So the
Oh,
way the
okay,
giveaway works is, so we do our show every Sunday night, except for like Christmas. We take breaks for Christmas and
right.
New Year's.
You gotta take breaks for holidays.
Right. It's not like we're making money or anything. So, uh, the way the giveaway works is, so when we hit 2,500, then that Sunday show, we will give away the next saber. And in fact, I want to say on this 2,500, we're giving away a NeoPixel. So the saber I've been giving away is going to be
Ooh.
valued between $400 and $500. And that's because the 2,500 is a big number for us.
Oh yeah, no,
Um,
that yeah, no, I hear that.
so when we hit 2,600, we'll go back to RGBs, but it's still every 100. So even if you don't get it, and the other thing is when we do the giveaways, it's typically only like 20 to 40 people online. So it's not like you're competing with thousands of people across the planet or something. It's
Right.
usually only like 20 people that are watching the show. So the rules are, when we hit that number, whatever day we hit that number, if I hit that number on Monday, then the next coming Sunday show, we'll give away the saber. All you have to do is tune in live and leave any comment. It's a family show, so we ask that you leave a nice comment, but just say hi, and you're automatically put in the drawing. Um, that happens at the end of the show, so it's kind of like a wheel kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
And
Distance Nerding does the exact same thing when they do their
where do
giveaways.
you think we bid it from? Those are our homies.
Yeah, shout out to Distance Nerding. They're pretty much family for this channel too.
Most definitely. Distance. When I met them, those two guys worked at a different podcast called Hardly Heroes.
Hmm.
And they came in and interviewed us for the lightsaber store. So I've been homies with those guys for like the entire time I've had Kyber Cave. So, and
Nice.
especially when we come up for shows in Oregon, we're always hanging out with Distance
Oh yeah,
Learning.
no. Phil, Tyler, James, and all the rest of the people, the team at Distance Nerding are the best. Gotta give them a shout out. They're definitely one of the big supporters of this
The
channel.
end.
um, and so like say a person wins, the lightsaber. What's the process after that?
So, if they're local, we would say you can either pick it up for the store, or I can meet you at Starbucks or whatever. If you're local, if not, it's $15. We ask that you pay shipping. If I'm going to spend $150 on your lightsaber, the least you can do is pay the shipping on it.
Oh, well, I mean, that makes sense. Imagine like also it like you have to like saran wrap that, bubble wrap that, whatever,
Right.
just so nothing like get gets broken. Because I imagine like shipping those things out, it's like can be different too.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we've been doing it for 6 years now, so it's oddly the biggest expense is the box. That the weirdly at first, we used to buy these triangle shaped boxes because I thought they would
Hmm.
be more room efficient. But turns out because the triangle is an odd shape, it actually costs more money than the square box. So um, oddly, and the length is the biggest determiner. So it's really the blades are the most expensive part of the entire transaction. Your hilt can be heavier. Your hilt could be a pound, and your blade like mere ounces. But it's because of the length of the blade that it
Oh
costs so
yeah,
much.
no. So what's the longest blade you have, and what's the shortest blade you have? Because I know hitting on a lightsaber, the blade can be long, short. Same with a hilt.
We typically carry 3 foot and 2 foot blades. It's actually off by a couple of inches. You think of it like if you think of Ahsoka. Ahsoka has a short blade and a longer blade.
Hmm.
Typically, so we call that a Shoto blade, the shorter blade. It's just over 2 feet long, actually. That's one that we would use on a child, or on if you wanted the shorter blade. And a lot of times, like people that are using two-handed style, they'll have the longer and the shorter. The shorter tends to be defensive, whereas the longer tends to be their primary offensive. Although you can use it offensively as well. Um, but that is the difference in the length because the shorter blade is going to be a lighter
No.
saber.
And one more question: the blades themselves are like at the top? Are they curved? Because I've seen some that where they're curved at the top and they're slightly pointed at the top.
Right? Yeah, that's a very good question. So there's both. There's what we call bullet tip, which is more screen accurate. If you watch the movies, they kind of tend to
Mm,
come in
yeah, a
into
little bit
that.
pointed. Yeah.
Right, and then there's curve tip. The difference is, and the reason why it's a good question is, if you are fighting in a league, no league that I know of allows a bullet tip. So you must use a curve tip saber, if you want to fight with the Saber Legion or Lightspeed. If you want something that's more screen accurate, the bullet tip is, and that's really all I sell. I do have curve tip as well, but I don't even bring those to the show because it's really mostly the fighters that it makes a difference, and they usually contact me directly as opposed to at a convention or something like that.
Right. So last but not least, just any last thing you want to throw out there for those who are listening or watching this who may like, where can people find you and everything for your next show, or where's your business located in case they want to go and actually buy, you know.
Right. Well, we are up until New Year we had a store location. This is the first time in 6 years I don't have a physical store location. So we are at kybercave.com. You can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram under Kyber Cave or Kyber Cave Productions, which is where you would find us on YouTube. Even if you just type in Kyber Cave, we pop up as well. But technically, it's Kyber Cave Productions. And that was kind of to keep our business separated from our video ventures because they are slightly different. We don't do just like lightsaber content, it's all kinds of nerd content on our YouTube channel. We do gaming, we do interview shows. We had the health show called Hearts of Kyber. I was telling you, we used to do a more mature or immature, I guess, depending on how you look at it, show called Kyber Cave After Dark, and one of our hosts for that was a an actor who was in the movie Squid Game.
Oh yeah, the TV
Um,
show Squid Games. Yeah, he said he was a VIP.
yeah, John Michael. So he was also a co-host of our show, as well. So he wasn't on every show, but I think he was on at least 20 or 30 of our
Oh
episodes.
no, I consider that if they're on the channel quite frequently, because I have guests like that come on frequently. Like you're considered a co-host now, whether you like it or not. Like
Right,
you've
exactly.
been on here so long, you know what goes on and everything.
We have a brand new show. I'm actually super proud of. I would love and encourage your guests to go check out. Check out kybercave.com. Like I said, every 100 subscribers, we give away a free saber. So just tune in on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. to our show Saber
7 p.
Rattle.
Okay, Sundays at 7. Okay,
7 p.m. Pacific time.
oh yeah. Anywhere else, whatever state, country, you
Right.
know.
The show is roughly an hour and 15 minutes every Sunday night. We do a 40-minute interview. Like I was saying last week, we just interviewed Nick Palma, who was Michelangelo in
The
Secrets of
90s
the
team.
Ooze.
The sequel, the good one.
Right.
Nice.
Exactly.
That third one is just. I have mixed feelings on the third one. You had me at Turtles. You lost me at time travel.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun games. Oh, I'm really excited in 2 weeks. So this was one of the cool things that happened in our store right before we had to close down. And we had to close down just so people know because there was a lot of confusion. I didn't actually close down, but I was inside another store that sold Funko Pop collectibles. And because he was closing his store, I had to close our store because we were the back wall of his store. So we still exist on the website, on the YouTube, at conventions. We just don't have a physical storefront at this moment. I say at this moment because some interesting things that came up just recently, but we can talk more about that later. What was your question? I'm sorry, my ADD brain just totally.
Where can people find you? Where can people find again? Just one more time. Where can people find you on social media to stay up to date with wherever you're going to go to conventions? You have your YouTube channel. They can check the website, stuff like that. You're basically drop your links below.
I tend to be most active on Facebook. That's when I'll usually post out like what conventions we're going to. We're going to be a lot better about our Instagram. And then when I go out live, we're always pushing our YouTube. So my goal is to have 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year for our YouTube channel. My goal is to retire my editor so she can focus completely on the YouTube channel, and then I can retire after her.
No, that's honestly a good goal. I mean, yeah, the goal sometimes goals take a long time, but honestly that's a good goal because I imagine you just want to. Now, imagine when you do, do you still plan on going to the shows or?
Yeah, I say that, but I can't really actually ever see myself. I mean, it's just fun to do the shows. What may happen is my responsibilities may shift. So, for example, this year, one of the things that we really want to do is start touring Kyber Cave Productions. So, at some of these conventions, not only will there be a Kyber Cave booth, but next to it will be Kyber Cave Productions, which will focus on our YouTube channel. And then while we're doing that, for example, she can walk around and interview cosplayers, talk about their costumes, interview
Oh,
celebrities. Yeah, exactly.
oh,
And then we can push.
that'd be nice because that's what I do at the con. So it'd be nice to see more media coverage for the con from someone else as well.
Exactly. And that's what I was starting to say. I apologize, my ADD brain.
Yeah, no,
One of our
that's
newest
right.
shows is called Multiverse of Cosplay. We have a gentleman who goes by Elder Cosplay. He just
Oh,
started.
I've heard of him. I know who you're talking about.
He does.
He
He's most famous for doing Barf. He does Barf. He does Old
he's
Man
done
Luke.
old man Luke. He once cosplayed he once cosplayed as God at SAC Anime back in 2019. I know exactly
I
who you're
love
talking
that
about.
dude. Yeah. Anyways, he's
He
got a really fun series. I think he's probably got like 7 or 8 episodes on our channel, but it's called Multiverse of Cosplay, and it's really cool. He goes to local conventions and he comes up with these little storylines and just feeds people and just comes up with these little story from all the cosplayers that happen to be at the conventions around
no,
him. So
he's a great person. I need to get him on the channel eventually.
oh yeah. Well, just let me know. I'm happy. I'm trying to promote that as much. His show is just the funniest thing. If you're old enough to remember the old Tracy Ullman show,
Yeah,
or like Benny,
what started the Simpsons.
exactly, or like Benny Hill, or I think of that type of comedy when I think of his, but mix that with cosplayers and conventions, and that's what you
Mm.
have when you watch his show.
Nice.
So yeah. Make sure you get over there, check out that show, spread that to all your friends, and like I said, the faster we get 100 subs and get 100 more, I'm happy to give out more. We're not too big to buy your affection. I'll give out more sabers if that's what it takes.
Well, Ark, I think that should do it. Again, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for talking about not only your YouTube channel, but the business as well. Cannot wait to see you guys at more content. Cannot wait to see your channel grow. Cannot wait to see the type of sabers that you guys will be just having there soon. So yeah, again, thank you so much, man.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure talking to you. I will be excited to see you as we're coming up. I know we're signed up. Just got to get to the cons now.
Yeah, no, the same. So yeah, I think that should do it. And yeah,
Thank you, everybody. See you guys on the circuit.
once again, I'm Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for watching.
Bye.